Hey guys, so probably the reason why you clicked on this is because you want to learn a little bit about virtual machines. What's a virtual machine? Okay, so a virtual machine is a computer running inside of a computer, okay? Well, that doesn't probably make a whole lot of sense, at least to you right now, alright? So you're wondering, hey, how can you run a computer inside of a computer, okay? Well, it's with some special software, and my favorite kind of bit of software is the VirtualBox software by Oracle. This is a great piece of software. It allows you to run all kinds of different stuff. You can do all kinds of stuff in this. You can run Mac. You can run obviously Windows, because we got Windows going on here. You can also run the Linux and pretty much anything else in between that you think that you might be able to run on this, as long as your architecture meets the guest operating system architecture meets the host operating system architecture. Blech, that's a whole lot of architecture. So anyway, what's the architecture? Okay, so what the architecture is most computers nowadays, every computer nowadays, for exception of the one you're probably holding in your hand or you got in your pocket or sitting on your desk or wherever you got it, you're watching this, maybe on your phone, is a x86 architecture. Okay, well, what's a x86? Okay, x86 is something called CISC architecture. Okay, so it's complex instruction set computing. All right, CISC. A good explanation of what a different kind of architecture is like the old 2005 and older Macs. All right, they were very known for using the PowerPC architecture, and what that is a RISC architecture. RISC meaning reduced instruction set computing. Okay, pretty much in a nutshell, pretty much what that means is RISC is, let's say, one line you want to add 1 plus 1. Okay, this is very layman's terms. Okay, there's obviously a whole lot more to it than this, but just, in layman's terms, this is pretty much what it is. You want to add 1 plus 1, and in a CISC system, basically what you would do is you would go 1 enter line, next line, plus 1 enter line equals next line 2. Okay, so in a CISC system, basically what that is, it goes 1 plus 1 enter on that line equals next line sum of 1 plus 1 equals 2. Okay, so it sounds pretty simple, right? And that's very layman's terms. But anyway, so you need to have the same architecture to get that going. You also need to have a computer, or a host system in this case, that is compatible with virtualization. Not every processor out there is compatible with virtualization. All right, this computer is. All right, so, and because I've got a whole bunch of stuff installed right here, if you try to run this software on something that doesn't have virtualization enabled, it actually comes up and does a funny error. It says can't get lock or whatever. Okay, but anyway, so you're saying, well, wait a minute, what does this thing look like? Can I actually run Ubuntu on this, or Linux or Mac or whatever? You telling me that I can actually run a different operating system over top a different operating system? Well, how do you control that operating system? Well, it's just like starting up a regular computer. The only thing is you don't have a physical button. All you have is just a start. All right, or what you can do is you can always sit on there and create a shortcut on your desktop, which is what I've done actually right here, so I can quickly get to my little doohickey right there. So anyway, you just hit the start button, and it's just the exact same thing as, this is going to take a second to load up. It's just like starting up a regular computer. All right, and just you can go full screen, or you can make it small and run it just like in a little window. But anyway, while that's starting up, let's go over a little bit of the settings here. So let's just say we want to change the settings here on this Ubuntu. Now you can't change a whole lot of settings right now because it's actually running. But anyway, so what you can do is you can come down here and you say, well on my host computer, on this computer right here, this desktop, this Windows machine, I've actually got 12 gig of RAM. All right, well, that's quite a bit of RAM. Maybe not for gaming computers nowadays. But anyway, what you can do is you can actually say, okay, I want to give this computer over here, say, 6 gig of RAM, half of the RAM. all right, which is more than enough. You just need to make sure that you don't go over however much RAM that the computer is actually using. So right now I'm only using 3.4, okay? This computer right now is going to use up to 6. So you just kind of have to keep an eye on that, okay? And you also have to make sure that you got plenty of room on your hard drives too, okay? Anyway, then what you can do is you can tell what kind of processor you want. You want to give it 4 cores? I've actually got 8 cores in this with hyper-threading, okay? So, well, actually, I've got 4 cores with hyper-threading, giving 8 threads, okay? But anyway, you don't want to give all the way, you know, max everything. Just give it the cores, and that's good enough, all right? You can go and come down to your display. You can do 3D acceleration. Now, that is just a little bit misleading, all right? 3D acceleration is not using the graphics card that's in the computer. It doesn't do that, not quite yet, maybe with a future update. But anyway, what you can do is you can tell it how much video memory you want to give it. All right, in this case I just gave it the max 128. Now if you want to do 2 monitors, you can select this to 2, and then you can go up to 256, okay? And obviously if you have more monitors, you can give it more memory. But anyway, so enabled 3D acceleration allows you to do a couple things. According to the guys over at VirtualBox and over at Oracle, they say that when you enable 2D, 3D acceleration, if you enable 3D acceleration, it does give you a little bit of wiggle room of about how, you know, you can play a couple games. I mean, you're not going to be playing Crysis 3 on this thing. You're probably not even going to be playing Crysis 1 on this thing. But, hey, you want to play some like old Unreal Tournament 2004, you know, Unreal Tournament, Unreal, you know, what is it, Game of the Year edition, some Half-Life, stuff like that. Yeah, I think you could probably get away with that. That's not really that big of a problem. Storage, pretty explanation, you know, what do you want here, okay? You want the VirtualBox, where it's going to install it, okay? And I'll take you through all this kind of good stuff. And then you can give it a optical drive if you want, okay? If you don't have an optical drive, that's all right. You can spoof it. You can pretty much say, okay, I've got some ISOs on my computer, and you can just load it, all right? Load an ISO, okay? You just, you know, virtual optical disk, all right? And then you just select your optical disk, and like, for instance, this guy right here, you just click on this, and it loads it, okay? No problem. But you also can have it be a live CD, all right? So you can also click that and actually just put a CD in it, okay? And you can, if you want to add more controllers, you can also add more other areas that have stuff. Audio, well, that's pretty straightforward. Do you want to have audio? Yep. No? Whatever. Okay. Network. I always choose the bridge adapter because I want my router to actually give this thing a DHCP address. So anyway, so I usually just set it right there. You can give like a whole bunch of other versions to this, but if you just want to use it on the internet and just, you know, flat and simple, whatever, there it is. You can also tell it what kind of interface, since I actually have a couple different interfaces on this computer. One of them is a VPN that I use for my network and my and a lot of other things. I don't want to use that. I just want to use the regular Realtek on there. Serial ports, pretty straightforward. You want a serial port? Sure, enable a serial port. All right, USB, I would hope to say that this is really useful, okay? You want a USB? Yeah, USB. Shared folders, now this is just a little bit different. Shared folders is, you want to share folders between the host machine and a virtual machine. Okay, so I'm not really going to get into all that because that's just a whole nother thing. If you want to check out more of that, go to the Oracle VirtualBox website, and they'll have all kinds of good stuff there you can browse through. User interface, I usually just leave this stuff alone because it's just good enough for me, okay? You know, you can change what kind of stuff is right, if I can get to it, right up here. All right, it's asking what do you want to have up in this area right here. All right, that's what this is, okay? But anyway, so whatever, computer's back up. Get in here, and it's just like a regular computer. All right, just like a regular computer, except it's being hosted by Windows or whatever you're going to install this on. Now they do have this software for Mac and Linux and a couple other distros of Linux, but you can get it on Mac, Linux, Windows, and then there's I think one other one, and I don't really mess around with that one all that much. But anyway, so it's full. Now, if you want to have it seamless like it was before, they always say, what's your host button? Now, your host button is your right control. On your keyboard, you just hold the right control and then you hit F. And that makes it a full-size thing, like it makes it seamless. And you can go on, you can browse the internet. Now, the only thing is that if you download anything, if you do anything in this virtual machine, it's not going to hop over onto the other machine unless you tell it to. Alright, and you can do everything just that you would do with a physical machine, like if this was a physical machine in front of you. Something that I like to use these things for, something that I like to use these virtual machines for, is to test software. Like if you get a piece of software and you think you're a little, you don't really know about, you know, if it's legit or not, you can go in and you can you can go in and you can test it inside a virtual machine in the safety of not messing up your regular computer. Alright, that's a really good thing. Alright, the other thing that you can do is you can also run servers on virtual machines. Yes, you can run a server on a virtual machine. Okay, I do it all the time. I actually have a home server right now that I've got. It's running, what's operating system I got in there? It's a Windows Server 2012 R2, and then it's the standard edition, but I also have installed the Essentials dashboard, kind of who's it on there, so I can get in using the dashboard remotely and then manage my server that way. But I do have a Minecraft server, and that's going to be on a different video, and we're going to show you how to do a Minecraft server using a virtual machine. But anyway, that's pretty simple. But anyway, so let me get this shut down, let me get it going again, and we'll get it booted back up, and then we'll show you how to actually install and you know, get one of these things actually permanent on your computer. Alright, so we went ahead and downloaded the version that we're going to install in the virtual machine, Ubuntu 14.04.2 desktop AMD 64. Okay, so if you want to know where you can get that, they've actually gone up to, I think, was it 16.04, 16.11, whatever. Link in the description. Anyway, so you want to install this. You're like, okay, I actually want to put this in a virtual machine. So what we're going to do, you're going to open up your VirtualBox manager. Okay, click new, and you say, okay, what do we want to name this? Okay, what do you want to like identify this computer as? Well, actually, this VirtualBox as. All right, so let's just say we're just going to make it Ubuntu tester. All right, and if you type that in, it's actually smart enough to where it knows, hey, Ubuntu, that's Linux, and that's 64-bit. Okay, easy. All right, so you just click next. If you don't want to have it be that, you can always name it something else, and then you can go through and say, hey, this is all the other stuff that you have that you can install. Okay, and then you also have the different kinds of Linux that you could put on this, whatever. Okay, moving next, this is how much memory you want to allocate to the machine. So how much RAM do you want to put in this virtual machine? Okay, obviously you can go down to 4 megabyte, or you can go all the way up to whatever. I never suggest you go over the green section. Okay, so what's the green section? The green section on this particular machine is about 8.5 gigabytes. Okay, I prefer 6,000 megabytes. All right, or 6 gigabytes is what that is. All right, but anyway, so that's pretty straightforward. Okay, where do you want to install it? Okay, well, I'm sorry, what kind of thing do you want to use? Do you want to use an existing virtual hard drive, or do you just want to create one? I always just say, hey, screw it, let's just create one now. Okay, so just create one. What's the format you want? Alright, now this is not the format of the drive that's inside, okay, is it like FAT32, is it NTFS? No, that's none of that, okay? This is just for the program to realize whatever, okay? Each one has their benefits and negatives. I usually just leave it with the virtual desktop or VirtualBox desk image. So just move along. Okay. Now this is something else. Okay. This is actually kind of important. Okay. Do you want a dynamically allocated space, or do you want a fixed allocated space? So what's the difference between those two? Okay, dynamic allocated means, let's say you have a 100 gig hard drive, all right, and you want to make this particular computer 50 gigabyte. Okay, so 100 gigabyte hard drive, 50 gigabyte installation size. Okay, so that you want to use for this VirtualBox. Okay, so if you do dynamically allocated, it says, okay, the hard drive is going to be this big. However, what will happen is, as the hard drive fills up, the host hard drive fills up, it'll actually start shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking that size to fill up all the rest of that stuff. If you do fixed sized, it's just like having a great big movie stuffed on a hard drive. Now obviously you're going to have it set up as NTFS on that point, because FAT32 doesn't recognize anything bigger than 4 gigabytes. So just make sure that your hard drive is set up as NTFS. Okay, the format is set up as NTFS. I usually just like dynamically allocated, because this places where I put this stuff doesn't exactly make a big huge difference. Okay, but anyway, if it does shrink, I'm not too worried about it, because it's just a tester. All right, fixed allocation size makes the installations very much longer. Okay, dynamically allocated usually just works for me. All right, where do you want to put it? Okay, so we're just going to make this just a real simple 30 gig installation. All right, so this is how big you want the hard drive that the computer, that the guest operating system, in this case Ubuntu, is going to see. So when you go into Ubuntu, it's going to say, oh, you got a 30 gig hard drive. Okay, obviously what do you want to name it, and then where do you want to put it? Okay, so I like to always just put it on an external hard drive, because that just makes it simple. Okay, so go to my storage space, and we'll just go VM box, and this is where I'm going to put it. Okay, we're just going to put it here. I got plenty of room on this, so we're just going to put it there. Okay, pretty simple. And if you want to use a slider, you can use a slider, but I usually just like to type in how big I want the hard drive, because, well, it's just easier. Anyway, so create. All right, and that's going to create the initial. All right, don't start this up quite yet. Okay, otherwise, well, you can start it up if you want and get the installation going, but what I like to do is, right before I start it, I like to go into the settings. So select your VirtualBox that you got, go up to your settings. Okay, check everything that you want. Okay, make sure everything's how you want it. Your processor. See, this is where the slider comes in handy. All right, if you have 1 core, oh, that's going to go slow. You want 4 cores. Give it the green. Give it the green. Make sure execution cap is set at 100%. Otherwise, let's say you have like your execution cap set down here like this. It'll actually make the host machine, not the host machine, the guest machine actually run slower. So I always just give it 100% execution cap. Keep it at 100% unless you start having problems, whatever. Okay. Usually do this. That way, it helps the performance just a little bit. Your display, crank that up. Crank it up. Put it up. All right. 2D acceleration is for Windows only, and it'll give you an error here. Okay. See. Windows. This feature only works with Windows system guests, so you can't really do that. So anyway, 3D acceleration. Just leave it alone. Okay. You shouldn't need to mess with anything in here. Make sure the audio is turned on, and what do you want to use? Okay, SCH, whatever. Now this is emulated. This is not actually what's in the computer. But hey, you know what? If you just choose this and just make sure that it's set up just like that, you should be just fine. Network. This is important because you're going to want to install updates and get on the internet, right? Bridge adapter. Make sure that you choose the right physical adapter, not not a VirtualBox, not a virtual network interface or anything like that. All right, so just your normal one, okay? All right, and if you want to add extra adapters, you can, okay? That's for much more advanced stuff than you're probably going to be using right off the bat, just for kind of goofing around. Serial ports. You want a serial port? Give it a serial port. USB. If you have USB 3 on your computer, like your physical computer, select USB 3.0. If not, 2.0 be just fine, okay? Shared folders, if you want to add a shared folder, you can. I usually don't, because any shared folders that I want, I'm just going to point them straight to my server and then go to my server. No problems, right? User interface, shouldn't need to mess with anything here. Okay, so we're ready to start. So you just come up here, click on this guy, click start. Give it a minute. Okay, now this is very, very important, okay? Don't just hit start, okay? Because you can put a CD in here and do it that way, or you can mount a CD on the host machine and do it that way. Or what you can do, and it's just easier for me, click this little guy right here, comes up and it says, please choose your optical disc. We want this guy right here. We want this guy right here. Alright, so desktop. Click it. Open. Automatically loads it. Start. Let it go. It'll boot straight to the CD or the virtual ISO or whatever you want to call it, okay? And it's just going to take a second, just like how a regular computer would. It's going to take a minute to get into that boot screen, okay? Now, if you've ever installed an operating system, hopefully you have, you should know how to do it from here, okay? So what do we want to do? And I know that it kind of jumps around, but that's okay. Just kind of go through it. You can either just try it with the, with a live CD, or you can just install it. We're just going to install it, okay? Alright, do you want to install updates, third-party software? I'm not going to deal with that right now, because that's just stuff, if you wanted to use, MP3s, extra, licensed technology, and if you want to install updates, whatever, you can always do that stuff after you get back to the desktop and you're running the computer, okay? So I'm not going to worry about that. I just want to install it just for the case of this. Anyway, so installation type, you want to erase the disk and install Ubuntu. Alright, obviously if you're doing Windows, you do something else, okay? But we're just trying to get this thing up and running. If you want to do LVM for logical volume management, or you want to do encryption, whatever, don't matter, okay? If you know how to install Ubuntu, you can install Ubuntu just like this, okay? Whatever. Continue. Move to the next screen. Okay, where are you at? I'm close to Denver. What's your keyboard layout? What's your name? Okay, so let's just punch something in here, okay? And we're just gonna make it a password, okay? Do you want to log in automatically? Require a password to crimp folder, whatever. Okay, so we're just gonna tell it to go, okay? So it's gonna install, and this is gonna take just a little bit. Alright, well, as soon as this finishes, we'll come right back, okay? Alright, so it just got done. Alright, so just like how any other computer, you got to restart it, okay? Now, you don't click up here. Don't ever click right here, because otherwise that's just pretty much the exact same thing as unplugging the wall, unplugging the power straight from the wall. So you don't want to do that. Just restart it, okay? Come on. There we go. Didn't click it good enough the first time, I guess. Alright. Let it get done doing its thing. And if everything went well, you should be able to... Oh, it looks like my other computer in the background starting up too. Anyway, so if everything went alright, it should boot straight to the desktop. Or at least a login prompt so you can log in and then get to the desktop. Okay? Alright, since it says here, remove installation media and close tray, if any, then press enter. Okay, so it automatically ejects the disk that we told it, not the disk, the image that we told it to use. So all you need to do is just hit enter. and it'll boot straight through. Any minute now. Come on. Just like starting up an old computer. Sometimes it just takes a second. And any second now. Alright, there it is. There's a login. Alright. So like I said earlier, if you wanted to make it full screen, you would hit the Control and then F. But it's going to look a little strange because of how small it is. Alright, I'll show you how to fix that. Log in. Give it a second. Alright. No, I don't want to deal with that. Ask me later. We'll just make it a little bit bigger that way. Okay, so once you get to this point, it's going to bring it up, and it's all small and everything. Well, you can't use that. You want a full screen. You want it big. You want to work with it, right? All right. Easy, easy, easy. All right, go up here, and where is it? Right here. Devices. Insert guest add-on CD image. Click that. Give it a minute. There it is. All right. You're just going to have to work with the small screen a little bit. Just click run. Now, each computer is just a little bit different. Ubuntu makes it pretty simple. Just let it do its thing. Let it get it over with. And basically what this does is allows everything to run really big. Alright, so run in seamless mode. Alright, Windows does it just a little bit differently. Mac does it a little bit differently. But you insert the CD image the same way. Insert guest add-on CD image. Now you can't, if you don't have the CD image, you have to go to the VirtualBox website, link in the description, download it, and then install it on the host machine first, okay? And then that'll get you to this point. It'll get you to this point where you can actually add it, all right, and just insert it, okay? It just got done. Press enter, okay? Now what you're going to do is you're going to come over here and you're going to restart the virtual machine, all right? So just like a regular computer, you're going to come up and you're going to shut it down however your guest is running. Ubuntu, you just go up to a little gear, click shutdown, comes up, what do you want to do? You want to restart. Give it a second. Let's make it a little bit bigger here. Whole lot of waiting. Just a whole lot of waiting. First you gotta install the damn thing, then you gotta install the operating system, now you gotta wait for this thing to get done. Just a pain. Alright. There it is, and now it's full screen. And here's your shiny new operating system. Come on. I'm very impatient when it comes to computers. I've been corrupted by fast things. There it is. And there is, yeah, and you just, if you want to upgrade it, you can upgrade it. Run your updates, run it and play with it just like a regular computer you would. Alright, to uninstall, not uninstall, but to get rid of this, just eject it. That's all you got to do. Nothing special. You don't have to go in and punch some buttons into the terminal or anything like that. Just right click, eject, get rid of it. It's fine. And now, there's a new shiny computer. Shiny new computer. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It's awesome, isn't it? It runs great. Look at this. Look at this. Let's just make sure we can get on the internet here. Firefox and Ubuntu always seems to take forever for it to finally start. I don't know why, but it just does. In my mind, it does. Alright, so let's just go to cars. Just type in something simple. It's just cars. There it is. Cars. Hey, look, we're on the internet. You can do whatever you want. So anyway, that's how you install a virtual machine. Just something simple you play around with. Use a virtual machine for whatever you want. You want to, run a server on it? Run a server on it. You want to just, test some software out? Install an operating system where you can test your software out and see what it's like. Play around with it. There's some other things too that you can do. You can even you can copy this. Like for instance, let's say you make a master. This is the master, let's say, okay? And you want to copy it. Well, you can just clone the computer. Clone it, and then you're able to make a copy of it. That's what I did here. I got a master for this computer. This computer right here, my Windows 10 machine. This is my crash test dummy. It's my master. So if I make any problems, I make this one, I cloned it to right here, so I use this one. So if I mess this one up, who cares? I just clone the old one, whatever, and just keep it running. But anyway, something that you have to kind of know about how these virtual machines work is they are just like a regular computer. They're just like a physical machine running inside of a host machine. Okay, so don't ever just turn them off. Don't come down here and just hit the exit button. All right, sure, yeah, you can do that, and it's just like hitting the power button, send the shutdown signal. You can save the machine state and kind of put it into a hibernation mode, or you can just jerk the power cord out of the back of it and just power off the machine. I don't ever recommend doing that. Just come up and shut it down. Treat it like a regular computer. But that is it. Pretty simple. Anyway, questions, comments, put them down in the description, or put them down in the comments section. Give it a like if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, and don't forget to subscribe. More to come. Thank you very much.